This program proudly brought to you by the Also Foundation, developing the lesbian and gay community for over 15 years.
Hello and welcome to the first episode of our brand new show, Queer Zone. We thought we'd come up here for our first show to the magnificent observation deck of the Rialto, because up here you can scan the entire city of Melbourne and find out exactly where the queer community lives. And guess what? We're everywhere. From the 54th floor you can walk around for a 360-degree view of Melbourne and its surroundings. You can see St Kilda, Northcote, Prahran, Williamstown, Fitzroy, everywhere we like to live and hang out. Even you country dwellers can't escape our view. In fact, nothing escapes our view. There's plenty of room up here, lots of telescopes, nuggets of information to help you, and there's even a cafe where you can relax and have something to eat and drink. Downstairs there's a fabulous gift shop with all sorts of interesting souvenirs to buy for that special interstate or overseas friend. But back to our new show. Queer Zone is our lifestyle program, and each week we'll be bringing you a variety of segments on all sorts of things, including great gardening tips, a queer guide to the internet, a look at the world of fashion, pet care tips with Dr. Gabrielle Carter, general health and fitness tips, what's happening in the queer music scene, camp video reviews and interviews with Que Sera, legal tips and how the law relates to you, and more of those fascinating queer documentaries that you've come to expect from Ben TV. And I'll also be bringing you some fabulous interviews from time to time, and all the latest film reviews too. Ooh. When you just know it, the lift was out of order. After 54 flights, I don't have the energy or the breath to tell you what's on tonight's show, but I'll just let that be a surprise. Enjoy. I'll see you later.
Me and Molly here down at Commercial Road. Diversity. Molly, you having a good day?
Absolutely.
What do you like best about this day?
Because everyone's just together. I mean, I used to live in this street, or just off this street.
Okay.
About 10 years ago. There's Dickie now.
Hi, Dickie, how are you?
No, it's great.
That's great.
It's come a long way in 10 years. And if people are having fun, and this is the first year, then that's what it's all about.
What's your name?
I'm Fran Vanilla,
And you're from?
Los Angeles, California. Actually, I'm a tourist, and it's refreshing. It's nice.
Do you have homosexuals in America?
Of course.
You invented them, didn't you?
Yeah.
How are you finding it today? Are you enjoying the day?
Great, we just got here and so far, yeah, we're just organising things.
Where's the alcohol?
We're doing a bit of a survey on what clubs people go to. Which ones do you go to all?
We go to the Peel and to the Glass House, Club Deluxe, Three Faces, that sort of thing, yeah.
Are you a couple?
We are. Yeah.
How long have you been together?
About 2 weeks.
A long-term relationship. I've really enjoyed it. I came about 8 o'clock tonight, but yeah, it's really good.
Not just an annual event?
I think a little bit more regular than that.
Yeah?
Because I think Commercial Road's got a lot to offer, so yeah.
How's it going? Oh, look, it's just out of control, and this is just the start of the night because we've got shows inside later when I bring D-Day at 10 and 12, but why don't you come up on stage with me and just see for yourself just how out of control it is. Put your hands in the air for Ben TV! Oh, God. If they're not out, they are now. The whole of Melbourne's going to be seeing them.
Hi. This week we thought, bugger all those hard-living, drug-taking, beer-swilling, guitar-strangling, spandex-wearing rock bands. Let's go and see some art. And what better place to start than here, the Real Wild Child exhibition at the Performing Arts Museum. And while it may not be strictly queer, it's certainly very camp.
Now remember that you've got to keep counting for your step. Now relax your back and flop your head round. The idea, people aren't going to look at anything else but your head. They don't want to see feet dance, they want to see your head.
Well, Real Wild Child, Australian rock music then and now, originated from the Powerhouse Museum in Sydney, and it's doing a national tour, and we're the first venue on its national tour date. And it's about Australian rock music, where it came from right from the 50s through to the 60s, the British invasion, Australian music takes root, and through to the 80s and early 90s.
And a smile. Whatever you do. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
The exhibition is presented in sort of two quite separate sort of design phases. The showcases themselves have been designed in the format of, well, sort of like road cases, like musical road cases. And in them is a range of memorabilia, record covers, you know, performing outfits, costumes, awards, a whole lot of different things that, you know, from the weird to the wonderful.
And what a treasure trove it is. Here's Christina Hamflett's schoolgirl outfit. This glam extravaganza from William Shakespeare. St. Kylie's 1989 live outfit. And experience the mystery of Molly's hat.
The next step is the monkey. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4.
And then there's also another area of the exhibition which comprises of interactives and audio-visual footage. There was lots of sort of hands-on opportunities to just go in there and have some fun as well as learn something about where our music came from. One of my favourite, I suppose, memorabilia items is actually the record cover of The Loved Ones, the Magic Box, because I remember having it in my collection. I had an older brother, mind you, but and also the music sequencer, which is great. I mean, it turns anybody who sort of a klutz of music into a performing genius. It's just great.
What happens after this exhibition once it leaves here?
Well, once it's created, it's packed off into 2 large semi-trailers and it goes down to Tasmania. It has several weeks down there, I think maybe about 6 or 10 weeks. Goes on to Perth, goes on to Darwin, goes then to Newcastle and back to Sydney. And once this goes, we actually have an exhibition that we'll be presenting on Melbourne's Tivoli Theatre.
Oh, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My face is my canvas. Are you with it?
Hello, Mr. Thing with the red light.
Hello, Melbourne. How are we?
You just got to go out there, darling, and enjoy yourself, and remember, do it for you and not everyone else.
I don't really have any hair at the moment, I'm afraid I don't. And look, you've coordinated your hair with your... Oh, it's like a pantsuit. You look fat shit.
Just because you're in drag, you don't have to just get out there and mime a song. You can actually create a form of theatre with it.
I mean, I went out socially to pick up trade now and again, that's about it.
We used to say to her, but, you know, we can go out there in a house coat, rollers in her hair, and still do the number.
You know, a woman should be seen with a lovely set of nails, always freshly painted and always immaculate.
Role models, Madonna.
Only synthetic.
Get a shot of these legs. These legs are amazing. These legs are worth $1 million.
We dress like this all the time. We were just on our way back from the supermarket, actually, darling.
Get yourself together, organise the number, do all that sort of shit, because it's heaven.
If I get out of this interview alive, it'll be a fun time had by all.
You're right.
Oh, well, I just walk around and see if I see a naughty bum, I just doing that. And they love it.
The secret to my success is never taking no for an answer.
Stay tuned for Heavy Petting with Dr. Gabriel Carter and the rather talented Madeleine Swain reviewing Love and Other Catastrophes.
To be a 10-kilogram lump of lard. I couldn't remember the last time I chased a mouse. I suffered with constipation and I'd get really wheezy in the hot weather. Now I get out and about every day, so I've become the top cat of the street and life's much more exciting.
This is me 6 months ago. My vet warned that I could be heading for problems with arthritis, diabetes, disc problems and heart disease. Since then, I've lost 9 kilos and I couldn't be happier. I can chase the cat, jump the fence, and enjoy going for long walks.
Food often seems to have become the main enjoyment for many of our pets, and you may ask, why should we deny them that pleasure? Well, the answer is that there's a lot happier dog trapped inside this blubber. Look at poor old Charlie. He can hardly run, let alone jump into the car.
The golden rules of weight loss are, 1, you have to be committed, because your pet can't be, so you have to do that for your pet. The second rule is, don't give them any tidbits, snacks or scraps after dinner. And the third thing is, weigh your pet fortnightly and keep a record of it. Now, in order to get the weight off, you need to gradually increase exercise and reduce the fattening part of the diet. Give 3/4 of the usual portion of dry food, canned food, meat, milk, cheese or pasta. You can make a good sized meal by adding rice, pasta, veggies and fattening it out, not as much meat. Then you can actually add a little bit of bran if you want. And today I'm going to make it with carrots and cabbage because they happen to be Charlie's favourite. Now I have some that I've prepared earlier and you can see the veggies through there and the pasta and rice as well.
There are also some great Jenny Craig type diets for dogs. No joining fees, you just pay for the meals. For example, these low-cal diets were put out by Pal and Whiskers. Your vet can help you work out how much to feed and how long it will take to reach the ideal weight.
Don't you just love the tall poppy syndrome? No? Well, me either. Sometimes you can't help wishing people would just relax and agree that yes, someone has created something wonderful and let's all be happy about it. Now, unless you've been under a rock for the last couple of months, you probably will have already heard about the extraordinary success of first-time feature film director Emma Kate Croghan. At the age of only 23, Emma Kate has produced the low-budget college flick Love and Other Catastrophes, which delighted all and sundry at Cannes, was immediately picked up for international distribution, and its success saw the young St Kilda resident hobnobbing on Mediterranean yachts with the likes of Al Pacino. So far, so good. Now, back home, it featured at the Melbourne International Film Festival prior to its theatrical release on the 1st of August. But already the backstabbing has started. She didn't really direct it, they say. Stavros Efthimiou, Emma Kate's boyfriend and the film's producer and the original story writer, was really at the helm. Not enough credit has been given to the co-writers and co-producers. Yael Bergman and Helen Bandis is another refrain. Well, here you are, all of you, everyone. You all deserve credit, heaps of it. Love and Other Catastrophes is one of the freshest, most warm-hearted and richly comical Australian films we've seen in a long while.
Actually, I've got my eye on somebody.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know his name, but he's really cute and we've been saying hi a bit in the cafe.
You mean like when he orders a coffee?
Yeah, but
I think there's something there.
Oh, well, put him out next time.
Mia, I could do with some advice.
Yeah?
Do you think I should just ask him out?
Well, advice comes at a price.
Hi, Ari.
Hi, Susan.
Are you going to Mia's house or anything tonight?
Maybe. Why?
Why? Because, you know, you want to come with me? I mean, meet up beforehand and go there together.
I can't. Busy.
Susan's doing that as a sex joke. I know, someone else is already doing old phalluses. It's totally depressing. Look at the metaphors in here. Hi, Danny. Hi.
The plot isn't exactly hold the front page material. It concerns a day in the lives of 5 uni students who look for lodgings, try to change courses, throw a party and fall in and out of love. And that's about it, really. But despite the clear limitations of the minuscule budget, it's all put together with such wit and verve that you will actually believe that the huge hurdle of a library firing can become a life or death dilemma. The young, perfectly cast leads are fairly inexperienced filmically, although you will spot the very appealing Matt Day from Muriel's Wedding as the shy med student with a secret crush. Rada Mitchell and Alice Garner have both been seen to good effect in recent Melbourne theatre productions. Mitchell in the fringe Clubland hit Desire, and the multi-talented Garner, she also plays cello and speaks fluent French, I believe, in such MTC shows as Private Lives. Matthew Ditinsky is wonderful as the cool existential thinker Ari, and the film is stuffed with such cute in-jokes as having local film reviewers Adrian Martin and Paul Harris playing film lecturers. In the film, Martin is the author of a fictional textbook called Feral Cinema. Don't look for it in the shops, it's a joke. David Stratton was seemingly taken in his variety review, poor chap. But back to the movie. Good as Adrian is, the star of the show is undoubtedly Francis O'Connor, another MTC actor.
Thanks. I'll check you guys tonight.
Oh, Alice, you don't have a crush on Ari. He's like the Warren Beatty of the campus. Everybody wants to bonk him.
I think he's nice.
Alice, don't waste your time.
Well, what about the advice from this morning? What have you got to lose? Just ask him out.
Ari makes advice like that null and void.
Oh, but Mia...
Alice, why can't you find some nice down-to-earth boy?
Because I want that one.
Is he left-handed?
I thought you said my criteria were too difficult.
Oh, Alice. I just meant loosen up a little, not lose sight of what's important to you. Danny, hi, you wouldn't happen to have $663 on you, would you?
Yeah, I do actually. That's what I wanted to talk to you about.
What? Hang on, did you say yes?
Yeah, I'm going to buy this cello this afternoon. I need some advice. So.
What cello? You've got a cello. What do you need another cello for?
It was burned for fire by my delinquent brother.
Oh, right. Yeah, I remember. Sorry, just a temporary lapse into amnesia caused by my present dire financial situation.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that.
I promise I'll pay it all back.
No.
Couldn't you just wait a bit?
Well, what about my cello?
Well, you could use mine.
I've lined up this deal with this guy
Danny,
today.
it's really important to me.
I can't. Anyway,
just let go.
I don't even know if you care about me anymore.
Danny, I care about you more than anything.
Well, then can we have lunch?
I was just thinking that, yes.
His umbrellas okay?
Okay.
1 o'clock?
1 o'clock.
Okay.
You may have seen young Frances on stage in Kid Stakes or Lady Windermere's Fan, but on this showing, film would seem to be the ideal medium for her. She's a real natural and immensely likeable, which actually takes some skill because Mia's a bit of a selfish swine for most of the movie. The selfishness mostly manifests itself in her dealings with her girlfriend Danny, Rada Mitchell's character. And yes, I do mean that sort of girlfriend. Not only does Love and Other Catastrophes boast a wonderfully witty and wide range of popular cultural references, especially filmic ones, which I found utterly endearing, as you can imagine, but it even manages to present an extremely refreshing lesbian relationship. And it's centre stage, not your tokenistic, quirky best friend routine. Marvellous. Now, my more un-PC acquaintances will no doubt be pleased to hear that both actors are devilishly attractive, although we actually have seen Frances O'Connor kissing a girlie before. Yes, that was her on the beach in Ann Turner's short Bathing Boxes from last year. And do you know what I like most? The word lesbian isn't even mentioned. But before you start spluttering about my internalised homophobia, it's not because we're being marginalised or made invisible. No, we're just there. Right up there, in fact. Part of the grand scheme of things, just like everybody else.
He's dipped over his pants or anything. And chocolate eclairs stuck up his rectum. Oh, wow, man, what a way to go.
Baby's so vain.
She is almost a mirror, and the sound of her name sends a permanent shiver down my spine.
Waiting for someone? Hi. I'm gonna need to get that money back off you. Yeah, I know.
Do you get the impression that I like this movie? Well, you're right, I love it. Thumbs up to Emma Kate, who also co-directed the highly praised documentary Come As You Are with Brad McGann, by the way. And thumbs up too to everyone involved, whether you were the secret director, film reviewer doing a spot of slumming, or best boy's auntie. Sometimes tall poppies should be put in equally tall vases and just enjoyed. Love and Other Catastrophes is an utter delight, don't miss it. That's it for this week's film review. See you next time.
Don't touch that dial. After the break, our very own Que Sera chews the fat with the one and only Barbara Creed.
I'm Que Sera, and you're watching the very first instalment of Queer Cuts, our video review segment. And to mark this auspicious occasion, my frock and I would like to welcome a very special guest, Barbara Creed. Barbara, welcome to our show.
Thanks, Kate. Thanks for inviting me.
Barbara, many people know of you from your reviews with The Age and on 3LO, but you also teach cinema at Melbourne University in the Fine Arts Department.
Yes, I do, and it's a booming subject. A lot of interest in cinema studies.
Indeed, and I hope we've got a university in a year's time.
Yes, some other cuts are looming large, funding cuts, but we hope they won't go through with them.
Well, indeed. But actually, we're here tonight to talk about a film, to talk about Some Like It Hot. Now, strangely enough, Some Like It Hot is black and white. What year was the film actually made?
59, and there's a good reason why it was in black and white. The story, for those who don't know it, it's very funny. It's a comedy. Marilyn Monroe, Jack Lemmon and Tony Curtis. The two guys have to dress up as women and join an all-women's band because they've inadvertently watched the St Valentine's Day massacre. So have to go into hiding. So all the humour stems from that. And the director, Billy Wilder, was worried that if it was shot in colour, that their makeup wouldn't be as convincing. He thought they'd be far more convincing as women if it was shot in black and white.
What's the matter now?
How do they walk in these things, huh? How do they keep their balance?
Must be the way the weight is distributed. Now, come on.
It is so drafty. They must be catching cold all the time, huh?
Will you quit stalling? We're gonna miss the train.
I feel naked. I feel like everybody's staring at me.
With those legs, are you crazy? Now, come on.
It's no use. We're not gonna get away with it, Joe.
My name is Josephine, and this was your idea in the first place.
Look at that. Look how she moves. That's just like Jell-O on springs. Must have some sort of built-in motor or something. I tell you, it's a whole different sex.
Well, Jack, you'd walk like Jell-O too if you had somebody whooshing steam up your skirt. I think Marilyn does a pretty good job in that scene, actually, and I love the frock with all those little sort of feathers and things around the bottom. Barbara, it really is an extraordinary film. Why did you choose it?
Well, heaps of reasons. I suppose one of the main ones was when I first saw it in my teens, I thought, wow, you know, the world could really be a different place. So it had a big impact upon me. It's very funny. I mean, it's one of the funniest films I've ever seen. And the other reason, perhaps the main one, is that it looks at that whole idea of cross-dressing and the idea that gender itself is perhaps a construction, and the little extract we just saw on the railway station I think brings that out perfectly, because the guys are teetering around, can't even stand up on their high heels, and Munro sort of sails off in this beautiful performance, and the Jack Lemmon character recognises, you know, it is a performance. He says, look at her, you know, Jell-O on springs. So the whole film does that all the way through. You're just so aware all the way through that you know, men perform being masculine and women perform being feminine, and we can swap if we want to.
Osgood proposed to me. We're planning a June wedding.
What are you talking about? You can't marry Osgood.
You think he's too old for me?
Jerry, you can't be serious.
Why not? He keeps marrying girls all the time.
But you're not a girl, you're a guy. And why would a guy want to marry a guy?
Security.
Jerry, you better lie down. You're not well.
Will you stop treating me like a child? I'm not stupid. I know there's a problem.
I'll say there is.
His mother. We need her approval. But I'm not worried because I don't smoke.
Jerry, there's another problem. Like, what are you going to do on your honeymoon?
We've been discussing that. He wants to go to the Riviera, but I kind of lean towards Niagara Falls.
Jerry, you're out of your mind. How are you going to get away with this?
I don't expect it to last, Joe. I'll tell him the truth when the time comes.
Like when?
Like right after the ceremony.
Oh.
Then we get a quick annulment, he makes a nice settlement on me, and I keep getting those alimony checks every month.
And Daphne wouldn't be the first girl to have her heart stolen by a good rough and tumble tango. It seems that Jack's got it all worked out. He's going to sort of live out his life in luxury. I can't believe how radical this is. How was the film actually received at the time it was made?
Well, it certainly set the heads a-bobbing. In Kansas, they tried to censor the film. They said that the love scene on the boat with Marilyn Monroe was far too sexual and explicit, and they wouldn't release it until it was cut. number of critics got very upset. They said the film dealt with a whole lot of perverse themes such as homosexuality, lesbianism, cross-dressing, and at one point some critics even said there was reference to oral sex, and I read with amazement that what they were referring to was that line where Marilyn Monroe, I think it is, says that she always gets the fuzzy end of the lollipop. A strange idea of oral sex. But people were very upset in some quarters, but that only added to the film's popularity. It was a huge bestseller. I think the highest grossing comedy ever up to that point in time.
I called Mama. She was so happy she cried. She wants you to have her wedding gown. It's white lace.
Yeah, that's good. I can't get married in your mother's dress. She and I, we are not built the same way.
We can have it altered.
Yeah, no, you don't. That's good. I'm good to level with you. We can't get married at all.
Why not?
Well, in the first place, I'm not a natural blonde.
Doesn't matter.
I smoke. I smoke all the time.
I don't care.
Well, I have a terrible past. For 3 years now, I've been living with a saxophone player.
I forgive you.
I can never have children.
We can adopt some.
But you don't understand, Osgood. I'm a man.
Well, nobody's perfect.
The other thing about Some Like It Hotter, the incredible stories that circulated about Marilyn Monroe. Apparently she was very difficult to work with on the film. She turned up late, like really late, 6, 7, 8 hours late, days late. The director said that she was the most difficult person he'd ever worked with. And Tony Curtis said, which I found quite an interesting and bizarre comment, that kissing her in the lovemaking scenes he imagined was like kissing Hitler. So they did not get on. I think that's what that comment was all about. But the fabulous thing I think that Monroe does in that film and all her films is that she presents sex as good fun. She really sort of separates sex out from guilt. And so she liberates Hollywood in a way, particularly from the film noir films of the 40s with the sort of sultry femme fatale where sex is always illicit. Monroe makes sex fun and something that people can enjoy without feeling guilty. And I think that's a great achievement.
It is a great achievement indeed. Well, that about wraps it up for this evening. Thank you very much, Barbara, for coming along tonight.
A pleasure.
The pleasure has been mutual. And I guess we should say that you could get Some Like It Hot from your local video store under the heading of Nostalgia. We got our copy from the Big Flick video shop in Malvern Road, Prahran. Now, if you have a favourite video out there and you think that we could take a look at it on this show, you could drop us a line on P.O. Box 2248, Prahran. Ciao for now. Que sera.
They say the world is a stage, but from where we sit, it's more like a circus. And the wonderful thing about a circus is that not only is it enjoyable to all ages, but age is no barrier to participation. Check out these amazing women.
We held those series of workshops in January 1995 for women over 40. At the end, it was so successful at the end of that 6 weeks' time that we decided to continue as a circus. Performing Older Women's Circus. It took a long time to get the name, but...
41! 41! 41! 41! 42!
In a society where still a lot of older women will not say their age. So it's a statement. We're saying this is who we are and how old we are.
Well, just the fact that it's a circus, I think, is a little bit astonishing. It was something I never thought that I would ever be in a circus at my age.
51! 51! 54!
I can do everything I did when I was 20, but I do it differently.
57! 58! 59! 60! 65!
Well, the show this year is called Still Revolting because all of us have been around for the last 4 decades, from the 60s through to the 90s, and huge changes through that time. We have been influenced and have helped make those huge changes. It's like a recap of our lives over the last 4 decades. Because we're out as lesbians too, and we're out in the circus as lesbians. We're not a exclusively lesbian circus, but it's predominantly lesbians, and we emphasise that point too in our programs and in our advertising. So we start with the 60s, which was necessarily a rather conservative era. We start with the wedding scene. Hard to remember now that all women wore hats and that sort of stuff to weddings. And on stage we're trying to get that bit of a balance between women are starting to decide that their lives aren't as good as they necessarily could be, but at the same time capture a little bit of that oppression.
The circus has been a wonderful venue for me as a lesbian to be with a lot of lesbians. There are a lot of lesbians in this group. And yes, I just can't imagine at my age being a heterosexual having such a good time.
I think with straight women take for granted their sexuality in a way that lesbians can't afford to do. And our whole lifestyle, I feel, is much more of a thinking way of approaching life. But in those days you did it because you were a woman, ergo you had babies and you took responsibility for all the childcare and the housework.
There is an empathy there. Women of this age have this stereotype put on them that they are 40 and you're a has-been.
The women speak, they speak out, they cry, they whisper words, they speak thoughts tangled in their hearts.
One of the things I've always dreamt about is to run off and join the circus. It's given me a chance to do things like the trapeze, which I've always dreamt of doing, but thought, I can't do that. But I can.
So towards the end of the 60s, that changed. Women decided that, enough was enough. So then we move on to the 70s.
We know that we're very strong and very vital. Our lives are always in transition anyway. A lot of our lives are in transition, so that we keep on moving because of our very way of life. Age is not such a huge barrier between lesbians.
Feels like my first big date. And yet here I am, a 26-year-old veteran of the sex wars, arranging to meet a woman for dinner.
Then get into an enactment about refuge, women fleeing domestic, intolerable domestic circumstances, and the women's liberation response to that was setting up refuges and challenging the patriarchy around issues to do with domestic violence, and then moving on to a lot of issues that weren't even talked about, let alone being dealt with. And it's one of the big things about the women's liberation movement. Active over the years. This has brought together women that some of whom I've known for over 20 years. That you can suspend your political opinions if you don't necessarily agree to aim towards creating something.
One of the most rewarding things for me has been performing, one, as in the circus, and two, being part of the team that creates a fantastic balance, and the friendship and the caring.
That's the other thing too, muscles. It's really good to have, muscles. When you go like that, then you can feel it.
Stay tuned to Queer Zone. Coming up after the break, we have more from the Performing Older Women's Circus.
I'm Deborah Lee Finesse, and you are now watching The Queer Zone.
And then into the 80s, where we were more or less set in for the long haul. And a lot of women went back into the workplace, took advantage of the new equal opportunity legislation.
One another by supporting one another in balances, by climbing on one another's backs, shoulders, arms, legs, whatever. The fact that we all seem to feel very comfortable about touching one another, about climbing on different parts of the body, about even falling on one another, and that there doesn't seem to be a kind of fear of intimacy. A very intimate sort of relationship with other women, and yet it's not necessarily really sexual. It's not non-sexual either.
I went to one of the sports shops in Swanston Street. Have you come in, he says, in response to our senior citizens mail catalogue thing? I said, no. I says, I want a pair of elbow pads. Says, what do you need those for? I says, well, I'm actually learning to stilt walk.
But at the same time, we were starting to have a bit more fun too. So we had a lot of dances in the 80s. So that sort of tension between the workplace, where you're working really hard, and the women's balls, where you can play hard as well, and of course a lot of and lesbians were coming out more in the 80s than they ever had before, and there was a sense of pride in that. Because of the sense of community, you know, as an oppressed minority, there's much more of a bonding, or a sense that, you know, we form a community or a unit. In a predominantly lesbian group, you can also have your lovers along, and I think this is often one of the reasons that a lot of lesbians have been dominant in the women's liberation movement.
We're having one of them nights.
We spend a lot of our time, in fact, having fun, whether accidentally or otherwise. One of the objectives of Power Circus is to have fun.
The most rewarding thing for me, I think, has been working with people who allow you to make mistakes. I really enjoy that. Everybody's very encouraging and very supportive.
You try something new and you're terrified that you're really going to stuff it up. You get on a 3 high balance, or you do something that's just a bit further than what you've gone before. I've dreamt about more and more outrageous things that I might be able to do. And I've started to do things like the 2 high candles, the high candlestick. And that's just really from watching people and seeing it done and imagining, is it possible to do it?
And I think as older women that we tend not to be as seriously, I mean we're seriously engaged in what we're doing, but we're a bit more relaxed about it. You know, whatever happens, it'll be, yeah, let's have fun while we're doing it. And so the clowning aspect.
Just recently I found out that I've got uterine cancer and I have to go into hospital and have a hysterectomy. And I was supposed to go in and I was going to miss the performing in POW. And I was really, really annoyed. I didn't care about the cancer. It's important for me to do this, to go into hospital having this experience of performing with women of my own age, with women I've been working for 8 weeks to create something as wonderful as we have created.
And so what we're doing in the 90s is honouring the sense that women's liberationists who started in the late 60s and into the 70s are now, all of us, pretty well in our 40s, and honouring our older age and our older lesbians and our older women and our older activists who've been around. And we're to actually honour the crones in our group. There's 5 women over 56, which is sort of the croning age. As we're getting older, while we're challenging the stereotypes of all the fact that we're not going to just go away, the patriarchy still, and the capitalist society still wants, wants us to be kept in our place.
We are rising, forever rising, rising patiently, rising together. We are proud and we are rising.
Even though we might not be accepted or acceptable, we can still continue our lives regardless.
I would suggest that older women think seriously about this older women's circus. They just might have the experience of a lifetime.
Welcome to the first of the first. QueerNet presents an eclectic mix of net goodies for Luddites, geeks and freaks, from optic grooves to cyberdyke moves to popcorn Q and genderplex. We will hitch onto the queer bandwidth and take you to some of the wildest, queerest road stops on the Rainbow Info Superhighway. The internet is a global mess of computers, applications and networks, spawned decades ago by the military and since then hijacked by ordinary civilians for various purposes. It includes electronic mail, conferences and journals, public bulletin boards, information distribution and retrieval, using tools such as email, Usenet News, World Wide Web, Telnet, Internet Relay Chat and Gopher. Popular software to guide you through the matrix in a comfortable interface includes Netscape, Mosaic and Trumpet, played on the deck of your choice. Internet service providers abound and can open the door to the wonders of the net for a fee. The only thing left to acquire is the quintessential turbo-boosted Rough Rider modem. Strap that onto your trusty home computer and you're ready to go. For those of you who don't have the technology, believe it or not, computers aren't ubiquitous, or can't manage to buy, borrow or scam an internet account, the net surf is not out of your reach. Internet cafes are popping up everywhere. Here at Mulcahy's, for example, we have Internet at the Pub. Here one can drink and surf simultaneously. Log on to the homepage of Dyke TV in New York, drop a quick line to Hong Kong Queer, chat at Osgay, and then pop upstairs for a spot of boot scooting. Queers are everywhere. The internet is no different. What do queers do on the internet? We chat, date, organise and mobilise, gossip, perv and exchange information. From cyberqueer activism to gender invention to relationships, the transformational potential of technology is beginning to redefine the boundaries of the social and the political. The internet offers queers new paradigms for communication and the expression of sexual practices and theory. The virtual queer community caters to many different scenes, lifestyles and sexual practices. The salon to gay Mormons to fat dykes to homo radio to deaf queers and cross-dressing forum, there is a niche for just about everyone. One can remain anonymous or even have multiple avatars. Perhaps its increasing popularity amongst us is that it begins to break down the tyrannies of distance, language, image and colour. This season's QueerNet will present the offbeat, the quirks and the perks. In our weekly themes, we'll browse websites, dive into IRC, check out MUDs and MOOs, look at news groups, discussion lists and bulletin boards. And of course we'll trace the queer television trail and even give you some tips on how to write and maintain your own homepage. Here's some starting points to dive into the queer virtual. Queer Resources Directory is a massive database with hundreds of links. Check it out. Bookmark that site and you'll never be lost in the vortex. There's also an Australian mirror site of Queer Resources Directory. Don't forget to check out the Also site for all things gay and lesbian. Self-publishing flourishes with zines by the gigabyte to prove it. Try out a couple of these tasty tomes. There's Queer Nasty and Blair Mag. Schmooze on over to the Cyber Queer Lounge and try out Queer Web Chat. Or have a look at the AIDS quilt, courtesy of the Names Project. For all you media queers out there, drop into Dyke TV and see what's cooking. This week's tip from Audrey, webmistress and netizen extraordinaire, is Steph's Queer Asian Pacific Resources pages. From ex-gen filmmaker Greg Araki to bodybuilder writer Kitty Tsui to supermodel Jenny Shimuzu, this is a superb warehouse of who's out and what's in Queer Asia. Check it out. That's all for this week's QueerNet, so until next week, stay tuned and geek galore.
As most of us already know, there's a huge amount of things to do out there, but just in case, here's the Queer Zone lineup of must-do events of the week.
Coming up in Melbourne this week, author and broadcaster Robert Desire will be reading from his new novel, Night Letters, at Hares and Hyenas Bookshop in South Yarra at 7:30 p.m. on Friday. Frontier 6, the annual gay and lesbian boot scooting extravaganza, is at the Collingwood Town Hall on Saturday night, and on Sunday, Gina will be holding a forum on drugs and alcohol at 3 p.m. at Labrador in Brunswick Street, Fitzroy.
Well, that's it for tonight's programme. We hope you enjoyed it. Now remember, if you'd like to contribute to Bent TV, it's really easy. Give us a call on 9510 5592 or drop into our office on the first floor of 35 Cato Street, Paran. Memberships start at just $12. Your support is vitally important and greatly appreciated. Now, next week we'll have another box of goodies for you. We'll have a video review from that queen of the small screen, Que Sera. John Richards will be back with another look at the queer music scene. And Dr. Gabriel Carter will also be back with some more heavy petting. And our feature is Style Aid 96. Remember, if you're queer, be here. Good night.
This program proudly brought to you by the Also Foundation, developing the lesbian and gay community for over 15 years.